That's it. That pit just there. Go on. Get a little closer.
Do you have any connection to Patches the Hyena? I trust not. He is a depraved, vile man, and he deserves no allies. I hope that an upstanding hero such as yourself is selective when making associations.
Well, 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 what have we here? Patches the Hyena, Trusty Patches, Patches the Spider, Unbreakable Patches, the list goes on. Who in the hell is this bald, sneering, devious goblin of a man who squats across multiple games in the Souls series? Welcome, my friends, back to the Villainpedia. Patches has long been a favorite of mine, and while he's not an epic, large-scale villain or anything like that, his specific brand of evil is unique, it's charming, definitely irritating, and it's certainly unforgettable. As stated in the Lautrec video, these Souls games rarely have characters with clear intentions, or backstories, or even personalities, and Patches is definitely no exception. But unlike Lautrec, we have a character named Patches in every game. Well, almost, kinda, sorta. Is this, in fact, the same person? Or is it a sort of a spirit, a title? Why does he continue to trick people into certain death? And why do we keep falling for it? Well, to be honest, I have no clue, but let's learn all we can here together. So get yourself into a nice comfortable squat, bring your snacks and prism stones, and let's dive in. And remember to like the video down below if you like it, and subscribe for more Villainpedia, Heropedia, and other videos that are just like this.
Yes. Now, it wasn't me, but you still deserve an apology. Just a little trinket. Go ahead. It's yours now.
Well, for starters, the name Patches is sort of unusual. It sort of sounds like a pirate, or honestly like a pet of some kind. While most other characters in these games have proper sounding names, this is almost like a nickname to me, and I always took it to be representative of what Patches does to us. He screws us over completely, and then attempts to patch things up, offering items for sale, a pat on the back, and sincerest apologies. So maybe his behavior has affected enough folks for this sort of nickname to kind of stick. It's just a thought though, because the name has an unlikely From Software origin that you actually might not expect. You might think that the history of Patches would start with Demon Souls, the first Souls game released in 2009, but From Software has taken many things from their pre-Souls days and stuck them in here and there. But in Armored Core 4, there's literally an enemy you encounter called Patch the Lucky. Patch the Lucky is a neutral sort of mercenary character recruited in opposition of the player. He snipes from far distances and even from stealth, and two key characteristics of Patch are that he fights like a coward and he loses like a coward.
Wait, I give up! Hey, I'm just following orders here. If he's pulled out, why should I?
He's quick to surrender, leaving it up to the player to either finish him off or let him go. So, I mean, if you know Patches from the Souls games, they obviously didn't just carry the name over as a shout-out. These are key traits that would endure into the future. But now, my friends, to the good stuff, and the first appearance of Patches as Patches the Hyena in Demon Souls. Demon Souls is the game that established many of the norms of the series we now appreciate as staples, like a hub world that acts as a sort of home base during the adventure, and of course that trademark speckling of the world with interesting characters to encounter. The level structure here is a bit different from Dark Souls, however, if you've never played it, with the hub of the Nexus holding stones that represent each world, sort of like a Mario game, with the worlds and levels within. So it isn't until 2.2 that you're able to encounter Patches the Hyena. Or if you're like me and you played through the whole game and then were asked about Patches when, I saw him once and he vanished. There was more? I didn't know. I love these games to death, but it's so easy to mess up these quest lines and just have characters disappear. But if you should encounter Patches in this proper way, he'll say,
"Ooh, you're not mad like the rest, are you? Well, what jolly travelling companions are we, eh? Pleased to meet you. Call me Patches. Ooh, see that treasure over there? Go on and take it. My gift to you, just to show that we're friends."
And I think at this point, probably 90% of players know that this guy's probably not the most trustworthy. It's just something in his voice, man. He's overly jolly to see you. But, I mean, you have to go see what the item is, right? I mean, it's right there. So is the big old fat bear bug, of course, but I mean, the item, I'm gonna have to at least see what's going on. And that instinct right there is what Patches is designed to prey upon.
Who'd have thought it? Bear bugs. My apologies. It's just not your day. As promised, the treasure is all yours. If you survive, that is. Good luck to you.
Even in a video game as hard as Demon Souls, where death could mean tons of progress lost, curiosity always gets the best of us, doesn't it? This is truly the genius of the placement of Patches. So, okay, he traps the player and you're forced to fight your way out with just this weak-ass club as your hyped-up treasure. And Patches is alarmed to find you confronting him again.
You? You're no joke, are you? Worry not. The treasure is all yours.
When you next encounter him, he's found a nice little home in the Nexus.
Well, I remember you. Well, I'm glad you're here. I found some really tasty trinkets. Well, we've long been acquainted, so I'll give you a good price, eh?
Check out that squat. Here, he acts as an actually extremely useful vendor. He sells some stupidly overpriced stuff, but also super cheap healing grass, which you may know are a fine thing to have access to in Demon Souls. There ain't no Estus Flask in this game, boy. But you also may not be surprised to learn that he hasn't quite put his old ways behind him. By the time you reach 4-2 in the Shrine of Storms, Baldy is back at it again with the same old shtick.
Oh, hello again. Hey, don't turn a cold shoulder. I didn't mean to do you wrong, really. Come on now. We've got better things to fret about. That pit there is filled with treasure. But, I'm having a little trouble getting to it myself. Go on, take a look. There are more riches than you could dream of. What's keeping you? Have a look at that treasure down in the pit. Then we'll think up a way to fish it out.
Rats. Tricked again, eh? But this time, Patches lets a little bit more of his sinister side show. Down in the hole, though, you're not so alone. Here you meet a certain holy man, one Saint Urbane, another character that Patches has tricked and tossed in the hole with promises of great treasure. You also notice all these shiny rocks all around, of course placed by Patches to light the joint up and look sparkly and treasury. It's just good atmosphere, okay? But Urbane is representative of a certain resentment that Patches seems to hold. More on that in a moment. So you can free the holy man and make your way back up to Patches where, yep, he's gonna try to soothe you. This guy is literally the embodiment of, it was just a prank, bro.
Hey, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean what I said. Well, a man's gotta make a living, right? Here, look, I can make up for it. There aren't many humans like us. We need to stick together. I know. Have this as a token of my friendship. Not bad, right?
After his final apology, Patches returns again to the Nexus and continues peddling his wares. And here's where we get some interesting dirt on his feelings toward the religious folks around, just like Saint Urbane.
You see that priest and his disciples over there? Liars. They've blown that incident at the shrine far out of proportion. Shouldn't they believe in forgiving and forgetting and all that? Well, I have news for them. Praying never put food in my mouth, nor anyone else's.
Damn. I mean, I guess being in such a harsh, cold world where he has resorted to trapping, killing, and looting to survive has jaded this dude quite a bit. He's fatalistic as hell and sees religion as a frivolous waste of time that does more harm than good. But this is really good groundwork for the character and how he would act in future games. From here, Patches just kind of chills out and sells you the grass. But it's interesting to me how in tune with the world he is. As you progress, he always has something to say, and he even warns you about yurt, stuff like that. He's no dummy, that's for damn sure. In Dark Souls, perhaps the most well-known version of Patches graces your playthrough. This, of course, is Trusty Patches. And so this already begs the question, is this the same guy? Well, this video is not going to go on some Soulsborne timeline tangent to try and justify multiple bald dudes named Patches, but basically, I believe, in essence, yes, it is the same guy, and in actuality, not so much. In an interview with Miyazaki, the game director, about Dark Souls 1 launching, he was asked about Patches, now appearing in 3 games, this including Armored Core, and he responded, "Anyways, there's no connection. Officially, it's just a coincidence that they look alike. It's just for fun." Imagine that, it's just for fun. Because the developers, I think, kind of like this archetype and like this character, and just thought it would be fun to have him pop up here and there. However, this is Dark Souls, baby, so there are lore points and whatnot out there for anyone wishing to connect dots and make an argument one way or the other within the game universe. And things get more interesting in this regard with his appearance later in the series. So anyways, to Dark Souls. So Dark Souls in world design is similar, but now it's all wide open and connected. It's not so simple as approach stone, go to area. This openness makes encountering NPCs an even more delightful experience. It feels less like they are placed there for you to find, and more that you just happen upon them. But there's not much delightful about encountering Trusty Patches for the first time.
Good day. You look reasonably sane. What are you doing in the catacombs? Are you a cleric or something? Oh, that's strange. Oh, I know what it is. You've come for the trinkets, haven't you?
But I think it's really cool that they kept bringing back the same voice actor every time, William Vanderpue. He does a great job at sounding sinister, a little bit charming, and opportunistic. Knight Lautrec, who has his own Villainpedia, even expresses caution about Patches. Now that's saying something. But here, it's kind of more of the same, but with an amped up hatred for clerics. He is even so bold as to ask you if you are a cleric. And this has some repercussions as far as his potential hostility. When you first happen upon him, it's in the catacombs area, hanging out by a lever that controls a bridge.
It is. This place is treacherous. Do you watch your step?
Of course, once you try to cross this bridge, it's down you go. And you can kind of see like a sprinkling of items down there to suggest that he's done this to several people now. And just like Patches the Hyena, when you come back to him, he's like, "Oh, haha, yeah, my bad, dude."
Oh, well, how are you then? I slipped and flipped that lever, you see. It didn't cause you any trouble, by chance? Oh, really? Yes, I see. Rightio. Then everything's good, isn't it? I'm Trusty Patches, the one and only. You and I, just a couple of undead outcasts. Right, my darling?
Later on, further down into the Tomb of Giants, it's almost like an instant replay of Demon Souls, a pit aglow with shiny rocks.
Well, well. You've been a stranger. Good to see you well, mate. All right. You came at the perfect time. There's a fine stash of treasure right down that hole. I found it first, but we're friends now. I'll split it with you, in any case. Have a look. It'll shimmer you blind. This is what I do, my friend. The trinkets I'll be stripping off your corpse, that's the real treasure.
And here we find some clerics, holy folks that have been tricked by Patches and left to die. It's the Lady Rhea of Thorland, another NPC that had been traveling with some pilgrim bros, but her pilgrim bros who got pushed down here with her have turned hollow and they need to be taken care of. Patches is yet again shocked to see you alive, standing in front of him.
Oh, you! Well, let's just calm down. Talk about things. I did you wrong, but I didn't mean it. These temptations, they can, well, overcome me. You know what I mean, don't you? Please, forgive me. You and me, we're jolly undead outcasts, aren't we?
And to just cap off the similarities to Patches the Hyena, He then becomes a merchant in Firelink Shrine, squatting conveniently close to a cliff that I assume he wants to push someone off at some point in the future. I just think Trusty Patches is so iconic that even if this was the sole appearance of the character, he would still be a cult favorite minor little villain. Dark Souls was such a breakout success, and with such a mysterious story and world, the characters that you can talk to are really the only concrete thing to hold on to, making each of them exceptionally impactful and memorable, with us hanging on to their every single word.
Just nod your head and keep him on your side.
Dark Souls 2 has long been the black sheep of the series, in several ways, and Patches as a named entity being absent did not go unnoticed to Souls fans. What we do have, however, is a pair of characters that I find very interesting, named Creighton and Pate. Characters that I believe are meant to represent sort of two halves of this character archetype, but I am sorry, friends. This is a topic that is getting its own video that I've already been sort of planning in the background here, so you will have to wait until a later date to get my full thoughts on those two psychos. So the next time that an actual Patches would be seen, it would be in the kind of lone wolf of the FromSoft games, Bloodborne. This setting and fantasy and world and everything really is completely different. It's not a Souls title, but it does use many similar systems and of course has a handful of things that link the games in big ways. Bloodborne is a game of Lovecraftian inspiration, cosmic horrors, beasts. I mean, it gets real weird real quick. And what better way to insert our dear Patches into the game than to rip his head off and put it on a spider? Yeah, this is definitely the most unique Patches. I mean, what the hell is happening with this man? Well, there are certain enemies in Bloodborne known as Nightmare Apostles. They are extremely unpleasant looking and not much better to encounter in a fight. Patches is essentially one of these, and it was very interesting for me when first playing and discovering the world of Bloodborne to learn that this Patches has some lore. I didn't really expect that. So Patches the Spider was at some point some sort of scholar. There are many themes in this game about evolution and ascension to a higher plane of being, with these scholars at the school of Bergenworth and Mensis being in the thick of this research. Miyazaki, the game director, also said, and this comes from a quote in the game's official printed guide, "There are a lot of other Spider-Men in the game apart from Patches, but all the others have long since gone insane. Patches, despite being exposed to enough of the world's mysteries to be transformed into a monster, has still retained his sanity and is still continuing with his research." Okay, so what kind of research? Well, I can only assume that this means more research about this evolution, ascension, whatever you want to call it. And to really show you how different Patches the Spider is, he has picked up a bit of a god to worship. From cleric hatred to old god spider-looking ass zealot. What a twist. So this time, he has some specific motivation in his tricking of the player. His god, the Amygdala, is hungry for that hunter blood, and he wants to lead you to the slaughter. Bloodborne lore is super deep and very intimidating, and I'll be the first to admit that I am not an expert, so I'm going to try my best to stick to just Patches and his villainy for this. But after you defeat the boss Vicar Amelia and enter the Forbidden Woods, Patches will automatically replace all NPCs behind doors and windows in Central Yarnum, Cathedral Ward, and the Forbidden Woods. Now, that alone is pretty damn freaky. This is all in an effort to track you down and thrust an item on you known as the Tonsil Stone. And here, upon first meeting him, he, as you would expect, promises something great at a certain location.
Step lightly round to the right of the great cathedral and seek an ancient, shrouded church. The gift of the Godhead will grant you strength. Yes, I'm unquestionably certain.
Same old Patches. Though at this point, I had no clue my first playthrough that this was Patches. Not yet anyway. Though it is of course the same voice actor. Through the following events, you go to this place and instead of treasure or anything grand, you are captured by this Amygdala thanks to that damn tonsil stone.
Oh, Amygdala! Oh, Amygdala! Have mercy on the poor bastard!
And you're sent to the lecture hall. Here, Patches' big ol' head can be seen half through a broken window.
What a joy it is to behold the divine. It must be such a pleasure. You're in my debt, you know. You're nigh on a beast of the field. But here you are, treading a measure with the gods. Are your feet as fat as your wits? Oh, cease this dithering. Take the plunge. Throw yourself to the wolves.
So speaking to him here causes him to then appear in the Nightmare Frontier area later, where he does his classic Patches move and attempts to lure you to a cliffside primed for a pushing. Well, damn. All these years, Patches, and I'm still falling for you boo-boo. But finally, after killing the amygdala, amongst other things, you can corner this sketchy spider lad.
Now wait just a moment. Do you think ill of me? Me? Oh, it pains me to hear it. You've made yourself a misreckoning. I shared with you a thing most secret. Now you're witness to a miracle, and all the stronger for it. It's plain as a pikestaff. Now, say in my heart, you were as a lamb to my God. Well, you weren't to know, and it wasn't for you to know. All's well that ends well, I say.
And you again hold the decision at the end of this tale to either take him out for his treachery or let him go and perhaps get some goods from it. And he can show up as a vendor within certain Chalice dungeons. Patches the Spider has a crazy presence in this game, and if you know or understand any more about this, please share with me in the comments, because Bloodborne lore just kind of goes over my head. So before we get to the final appearance of Patches, let's just assume for a moment that this is in fact the same man, somehow surviving through space, time, the deaths and rebirths of countless kingdoms and lands in the Dark Souls universe. Because I honestly think that by the time Dark Souls 3 rolled around, that's kind of what From Software had decided for the character without saying as much. What started out as a fun inclusion and callback kind of turned into a huge cult favorites, and I'm sure even more so of the development team. So his finale, at least to date in Dark Souls 3, is chock full of heart, soul, and of course, more villainy. Dark Souls 3 is an epic conclusion to the Dark Souls trilogy in many ways, and I will never forget the first playthrough and uncovering all of these connective tissue things and locations. This game brilliantly toys with those expectations as well, though. In the Cathedral of the Deep area, you cross paths with a sturdy-looking Onion Knight.
Well, you look reasonably sane. I am a knight of Katarina. I've managed to track down this cathedral's store of treasure. It's right over there, across that narrow part. Treasure? Always so close, yet so far. I'm in quite a pickle, indeed.
Could it be Sigurd, a jolly cooperator and friend of the player that we've already met? Ah, okay, good to see you, Sigurd. I'll just cross this bridge.
Thought you could outwit an onion.
Son of a bitch. I got tricked and left to get yammered by these giants, and it was a pretty good impression of Sigurd too. Patches jacked the armor from our onion homie, and Sigurd is busy hiding in the well outside of this area, naked as the day he was born.
I'm loath to admit it, but I've been had. Someone's swiped my armor.
Stripping an Onion Knight of his armor is perhaps the most evil deed to date for Patches, man. You just don't do that.
Huh? Yes, hello. Oh, I don't believe we've met. I'm Patches. Unbreakable Patches. You seem to be unkindled. Do you have business with me? Oh, yes, of course. It's coming back to me now. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was my hand, as you know. But the deed, well, that was the armor's doing. Regrettable, truly. But behold, I'm stripped clean of that unruly attire. And look at you. Not a scratch.
But there is an alternative way to meet Patches, which is for some reason the path I took my first time, and you can buy the tower key for that mysterious tower behind Firelink Shrine. Patches traps you and does his usual business before then becoming a vendor all the same.
Sorry, friend.
2 hours later.
Oh, you're alive. Now, hold your horses. Let's have a nice talk about this.
But here is something unusual and not seen before from Patches. He seems to have a friend, and it's the other vendor, Grey Rat, that stays around Firelink Shrine stinking up the joint. It's interesting, as we have never really seen him have anything but enemies in past games. Grey Rat occasionally will kind of leave and go scrounge around for new items to sell you, and Patches always asks after him. Now at a certain point, Grey Rat heads to Irithyll and faces some certain danger. He can either be saved by Siegward, if you returned that onion armor to the naked fellow in the well, or by Patches, who dons the onion armor himself to save his friend, whom he refuses to admit he cares about. Interesting, man. Very interesting. I'm not quite sure what to make of this, to be honest. He wanted to help the little fella out, but he didn't want Grey Rat to see that it was him. Decided to pass the glory on to the Onion Man. And all of this is backed up by Grey Rat telling us that he was saved by an Onion Knight, regardless of who is going to go save him.
I might have died if it wasn't for that peculiar Onion Knight. But in the end, it all paid off.
So there's a little bit of depth here. It seems like if Patches has seen all of these worlds rise and fall, he's starting to slow down a bit as far as his killer instinct, starting to make friends even. Maybe that's why the name Unbreakable Patches is given to him, some sort of compensation, who knows. So it's a short appearance here, but From Software saved the absolute best for last. In the Ringed City DLC, which is incredible, you are transported forward in time, essentially to the end of the world. The atmosphere and environments are just insanely cool, and here in this wasteland of castles upon castles, you encounter a knight sitting alone.
Oh, look at you. You've got your head screwed on correct. Fantastic. To meet a kindred spirit on this god's forsaken crag. Call me Lapp. I can't remember my real name, so let's just go with that. I have a feeling we're going to make a fabulous team. Oh, you'll see. You'll see. Oh, in all honesty, there's something I should tell you. I'm a hollow. Yes. I try to play it off. But I haven't a clue about my past, who I was, or what I lived for. Not even my own blessed name.
That voice sounds sort of familiar, doesn't it? I can't quite place it. I mean, this fine lad has lost all of his memory and is seeking this purging monument. The dialogue is just so good that I want to let this little quest line speak for itself, so I'll see you in a minute.
Don't mind me. You needn't worry yourself with this nonsense. I just wanted to tell someone, and I'm sick of old Humpty. I should stay quiet. Wait, I'll make it up to you. By letting you in on a secret of sorts. Past here, you'll find the remains of a giant earthen tower, half submerged in a poisonous swamp. Not a very nice place to visit. Only, there's precious treasure in the thick of the swamp. I didn't have any use for it, you see. So, sorry, I left the whole package behind. If I get the chance, I could go fetch it for you. But if that's too long to wait, go nab it for yourself. I know who you are. A righteous warrior. Yes? With a solemn duty to boot. Well, grab that treasure. That's as good a duty as any. Oh. Well, fancy meeting you here. A true blessing that we should seek the same place and find ourselves standing here together. I've got the last of my brew. Let's have our own little toast with it. To my search, and to your duty, and to the joy that lies before us. Once I find it, everything will come back to me. Who I was, what I lived for, what my name was, and what terrible grudges I held. I don't know. I just have this feeling that that's the kind of man I was. Oh, don't hold it against me.
I only think I was. Oh, and here we are again. How goes things? I'm rather running in circles, I'm afraid. I can't find the purging monument. And I've searched high and low. What if it was never here in the first place? Oh, bloody hell. What do I know? It won't be long now before I know everything. Who I was, what I lived for, and what my name was. And I'll have you to thank for it all. Ah, thank you. Most sincerely. I swear upon my birth name that I am your friend. No matter what might come out, no matter what I was, if you would do me the honor, allow me to be a true friend. Always. Oh, finally, you've come. Now I know exactly who I was. And for that, I've a little thanks to be giving. Go this way and peep past the broken staircase. Some awfully fine treasures just sitting there all alone. It'll change your life. Every age, it seems, is tainted by the greed of men. Rubbish to one such as I, devoid of all worldly wants. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way we are. I'll stick you in my prayers. A fine dark soul to you.
What an awesome moment, not only for Patches and fans of the series, but for its director, Miyazaki. This was really his character, and it almost feels like he's reaching to us through Patches to say goodbye after all these amazing games. It's also definitely noteworthy that he doesn't kick you into like a chasm or an area leading to certain death, just a little drop, and it actually leads to the way out. So maybe he remembered that promise, to remain friends no matter what memories may arise. This Lapp questline is one of my absolute favorite things in any of the games, and it kind of confirms that Patches is this enduring spirit. I mean, he doesn't hollow until the very end of the world, and still has the wherewithal to search for an answer to his issue. And despite being a capable adventurer, which is made evident by the locations he's able to reach during this Lapp quest, he chooses to let others do the work for him still. Clever bastard. Patches is an unforgettable villain for anyone who has played these games. In the Lautrec video, I talked about how his design is meant to represent, malevolent players you might encounter online in Dark Souls. He teaches the player to not be quick to trust, and I think Patches holds a similar purpose. In his final speech, he talks about human greed, how it's sort of inevitable. And though he's the one to impart this knowledge, he is the greatest servant of greed in the game, literally trapping and killing people to loot their corpses. I also think he has the greatest understanding of the zeitgeist in each game. In Dark Souls, where the Age of Gods is dying and falling apart, he hates clerics and religion. In Bloodborne, where the cosmic great ones have the world under thumb, he's a worshipper and servant. And Spider. In this series, more than any other, villainy and evil are mostly a perspective. We call Patches a villain because we're at the butt end of his tricks, but what he is above all else is a survivor. Thanks everyone for watching and listening to the end. It truly means a lot. Shout out to my first 4 patrons here listed on the screen. Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions on Patches down below, and look forward to many, many more videos in the near and distant future. Thanks again everyone, and until next time, peace.